who cares if it's $1 million if you're not making any money? And a lot of entrepreneurs get in that model where they are doing $1 million and they're not really making any money. They were making a lot more money before at 500,000. Before we get there, any final thoughts on this, like getting to $1 million, and any final thoughts on this before we move to profit?
I got one. I got one that I think it's a trap that a lot of people fall into. They think that they're more profitable at a lower level, and that's because they're wearing 15 hats. And what they're doing is they're paying themselves. Their business still is at 10% profit at $1 million or whatever, or 5% profit. But what it is they're paying themselves a salary for the work of 3 or 4 or 5 people. So your business is just as profitable at 100 grand or 500 grand or $1 million. The difference is that you're working multiple jobs. And then at $1 million, as we're building that team, you're forced to pay other people that salary, and you're not earning that income yourself. So you're not more profitable. It's a trick. What it is you're wearing a lot of hats. You're working a lot of jobs. And at $1 million or as you're growing, you got to pay that out. So yeah, you're not profitable. You're Donovan Quessenberry, and you do not understand your numbers. That's what's going on.
So okay, let's go. That's a great segue. So how do we maintain profitability at $1 million?
I would say know where you're going. You're talking about the accounting year, right? You got 365 days. So whatever your physical year end is your physical year end. If you're doing $1 million for that 365 days, and the next day you land another $1 million job and you scale, and the following year you end up doing $3 million. What's the difference? So understanding, they talk about Simon Sinek's The Infinite Game. Business is not finite. There are finite things within business, but the Infinite Game talks about that long stretch of business strategy. So if you're always focused on profits today and you're not reinvesting into your business, that will be your limiting factor. So for us, we understanding especially navigating the banks, if you got lines of credits or you need financing for your business, if you're getting into some commercial work, so you need those longer lead times for different types of jobs. But being able to understand, well, we want to be a $5 million business or we want to be a $10 million business, and having the right structure and strategy to unpack that, which means, some people are like, oh, I can't hire this person, or, oh, what's the next position going to be in my business? Well, just go look at a bigger business.
Mm-hmm.
They've got an internal bookkeeper. They've got a payroll specialist. They've got a customer service coordinator. They've got somebody to answer the phones. They have managers. So nothing you're doing hasn't been done before. So if you can kind of look at other businesses and say, okay, what's the next best position? Because again, when you're dealing with growth, say you hire an estimator. Like we hired an estimator a year ago now, and it was the best thing we ever did for our business. It got us over that hurdle of $4.5 million. But at the beginning, it was an expense. And guess what? The profit line went down.
Mm-hmm.
But we know where we're going. We're going to a business that's going to need estimating. We're probably going to need multiple estimators, right? So I think that's really key in terms of understanding. Don't be scared to reinvest in your business. And if you can keep your personal expenses down in those early stages of your business, or whenever you want to make that decision to jump, there can be a huge benefit later. And it comes down with, financial freedom, but also time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I got to $1 million and my office warehouse was a storage unit. We did $1 million out of a storage unit. And so, living at home with mom, if you're playing video games all day, is not a good thing. Living at home with mom, if you're building $1 million company, great thing, right?
Yeah.
And then you're talking about look at companies who are successful. Also, don't be afraid to look outside your industry. Look at successful people. One of my mentors is actually a farmer by the name of Joel Salatin, and he has 2 quotes that I love that I've applied to my business. The first one is sales should be organic, almost a serendipitous outgrowth of quality and service. And the second one is that business should be able to scale up profitably and scale down profitably. And what I mean by that is you should be profitable at 100 grand and you should be profitable at $1 million. If you got to get to 1.5 or $2 million, then you got a range in there that you're not profitable. So you got to know your KPIs. You got to know your numbers. If you're going to play big numbers and do big jobs and big quotes, well, that also is potential for big losses and big, if you're going to take on big debt, okay, well, if the economy goes sour, then, you could be in a real bind. You could be hurting. If you cannot scale up profitably and also scale back down. And for me, it's one sales guy can support 2 crews. I need another office lady for every 2 crews. Right? And so you switch from, all right, I'm going to add crews, and then you quickly get that crew to capacity, right? I don't want to say, oh, I'm going to grow in a year, so let me buy 5 new trucks and let me hire 10 new guys, and I don't know who's going to answer the phone, or I don't know who's going to sell those jobs, or I don't know where the leads are going to come from, right? When you're adding on staff, you should have a really good onboarding training program so that you quickly get them to capacity. And so you should be hiring, if you're in a growing mode, right? You should be hiring technician side of your business, and then you go to the office admin side of your business, and then you go to the sales side of the business, and it's a revolving door, and you kind of focus on different things, and that's growth. And at some point, you're almost always going to be behind in one area of your business, it feels like, but you're also profitable. If you're like, oh, we're on easy street, I can say, there's probably a little bit of waste in your numbers somewhere, right? You're probably a little bit overstaffed, or paying people a little bit too much, or your crews are a little unproductive.